Drew Peters, aka the Vanilla Gorilla, coming at you with Suppz.com. So today we're going to dive into the ingredient topics, and we're going to start with one of the most thoroughly researched, bread and butter, stand the test of time, research extraordinaire supplements there is, and that would be creatine. So first and foremost, there was many ways we could have gone about this video, and I thought we'd do a slightly different spin on it, keep it fresh, keep it light, keep it topical, and give you some interesting information about creatine. So first and foremost, if you're going to talk about creatine, I think you need to understand exactly what it does. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. It's an organic molecule. It occurs naturally in the body. Your body produces creatine. It's found in meat. It's found in a lot of other substances that you ingest on a daily basis. Creatine supplementation simply provides your body with more of it. And that comes in handy because when your body has an energy cycle, keeping this topical, like I said, it breaks down a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, into ADP, adenosine diphosphate. In other words, when you have creatine, it basically helps your body be more efficient of having your body recycle energy back into more ATP, providing more energy and strength, power output, so on and so forth to fuel the muscle cell for performing. So basically, creatine increased equals ATP increased. Light, topical, like I said. Now, with that being said, first and foremost, it blows my mind even to this day that there are so many misconceptions about what creatine does, what it will not do, and this will get lost in translation. I couldn't tell you how many times when I worked at GNC and Complete Nutrition, I'd have, guys come in with their son or just, 16-year-old kids or new entering to play some high school ball and they want to get on that there creatine. And they're like, well, I was thinking about taking creatine. I want to gain some muscle, put on some size, get a little bit stronger, but I heard that it makes you cramp, or I heard it can damage your kidneys, or I heard that I'll fail a drug test, or insert other misconception here. It's interesting that they always would say that. I'm like, what is this 1995 infomercials? Where'd you get this information from? And it's amazing to me that there's so many people in positions of authority, whether that be coaches or team trainers, that still spew this nonsense. And I think one of my other favorite ones too is, saying, oh, creatine will stunt growth. Like, even worse, weightlifting at the 2 young age will stunt growth. That has been disproven time and time and time again to be not true. So, some of the creatine myth busting we're going to cover today, just keep it light in that direction. First and foremost, people say that creatine will cause cramping. Creatine will cause kidney damage. So starting with that, interestingly, I'm not sure how this even, got started. You understand that creatine, when you take it, it causes your muscle cell to hold more water. So therefore, muscles appear bigger, more full, and, it's nature of the beast. Some people like this. Some people like, oh, I don't want creatine, it makes me bloated, and all that ties in. Dehydration, bloating, kidney damage. Understand that if you are not getting enough water to begin with, which you should as an active individual, all creatine is going to do is it can amplify these things, and that's why these side effects get traced back to creatine supplementation. It's amplifying the problem that already exists. Now, if you're adequately hydrated, this turns into a huge pro. You're talking about actually enhanced hydration, muscle size, and muscle volume, and who doesn't want to have bigger muscle? I'd say that's a win. Okay, moving on from that, creatine is naturally occurring in the body. It's not going to affect hormone levels or anything like that, so that's complete hogwash, and people say, oh, not that creatine, it's just cheating, it's a drug, it's nonsense is what it is. So you can't compare creatine to a PED. You're not going to say, oh man, I got that there 5 grams of creatine mono and it's better than D-ball or whatever kids Google on the internet. It's not going to have that same effect. It takes time for you to see effects. And that actually sets us up perfectly for the main context of this video is when you take creatine, what are you going to notice? When are you going to notice it? And, how long does it take? So the general consensus for a lot of years, understand creatine monohydrate is the gold standard of creatine supplementation. Most of the research studies have been done on an exact form of creatine. There's other different forms. There's creatine hydrochloride, creatine buffered creatine monohydrate, creatine glyphosate. I mean, there's tons and tons of different creatines. So I even misquote creatine glyphosate. I think I made that up. It's late at night. But that being said, the gold standard is creatine monohydrate. So all the research that has been done on that is going to suggest, and it's been common practice, that you should load creatine. up to 10 grams a day for the first few weeks to get maximum saturation to notice creatine's effects sooner. Is that 100% necessary? No. Is it beneficial? I would agree. Do you absolutely have to do it? It depends how fast you want your creatine to be loaded, what effects you're looking for, and of course, how fast you want to bloat your creatine. Creatine is cheap. I see no reason whatsoever to not load creatine. I mean, you might as well use it and get it going faster. It's relatively inexpensive. It doesn't cost that much. It's a very affordable staple supplement that actually has positive effects. So it's one of those bang for your buck supplements you can take. Okay? So, if you don't load your creatine, studies suggest that if you're taking 3 grams of creatine, that's a maintenance dose for up to 28 days, you can fully saturate your muscle cells with creatine still. So loading phase isn't 100% necessary, but you can saturate a lot faster if you have the loading phase. So with that being said, it is going to take some time. What you're going to notice, muscle fullness, you're going to notice effects in the gym in terms of more training endurance, in terms of power, getting a extra rep or two. All these things combine and they translate to more muscle growth and recovery and of course muscle fullness because you're allowing your body to push past what it was doing when you weren't taking creatine. It provides that extra quote unquote fuel, quote unquote ammunition to push the body harder. The harder you can train and of course push that body, the more stimulus it's going to get and it's going to translate to those gains in muscle strength and muscle size. So it's very simple, and I don't mean to condense it down almost to oversimplify it, but that is the gist of how creatine works and the benefits from it. One last note is that when it comes to creatine, some people aren't aware, is that it has more benefits than just performance enhancement. It's having emerging data suggesting that it can help improve markers of cognition. In other words, it can prevent cognitive decline in elderly populations, which is really cool. There's also been some things shown that it can help concussion victims recover faster. It can have a host of other things. They're very new in terms of the data that's being done on it, but the data that I've seen is really promising and really cool. So get out of the mindset that creatine is just for athletes. It's not a drug. It's not just for meatheads. Men and women can take it. And the bang for the buck for creatine is thoroughly sound. It's one of the most beneficial supplements you can possibly take if you're looking to improve your body and achieve your performance goals. That being said, I'm going to cover one last point. Stop the nonsense of saying that you're not going to take creatine because you're cutting. I'm not sure why this started. I'm not sure where it came from, but I need to stop. Creatine is going to allow you to push your workouts harder. The extra reps, the endurance, and the power, anything that's going to stack the deck in your favor to get more out of your workouts while you're in a caloric deficit is going to encourage your body to maintain lean muscle mass, among a host of other mechanisms. Whoever thinks that, oh my goodness, I might hold a little bit of water if I use creatine compared to not, well, congrats, you're going to look flat faster. So I keep popping in my head, but we're going to end the video with that. This is a very broad topic. So what I ask of you, comment below with what topics you want to hear about. Supplements, training, nutrition, all that good stuff. We'll cover it here on Suppz.com. This is a channel for you to answer questions that you want to hear about. This has been Drew Peters with Suppz.com.